everyone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new episode of in the Middle East. I'm Sahar Italawi, where we tackle the latest developments, which is happening in the region, which is the Middle East, remain at the heart of the attention of the global attention, and reshaped by the history and challenged by the conflict. And we're going to start with the news items, ladies and gentlemen. Starting up with Iran's joint military command warned Thursday that all oil tankers moving through the Strait of the Hormuz must use its approved routes of the phase force-fed response. Again, ratcheting up the tensions over the waterway crucial for international energy supplies. It wasn't immediately clear that sparked the threat from Iran. However, the U.S.-Iran Central Command had put a statement about having a meeting with officials from the Middle East nations in Bahrain that said the leaders underscored their shared commitment to the free flow of the commerce through the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranian statement also said that any failure to comply, the deviation from the designated route or the disregarded for the navigation protocols from Iran to the Strait of Hormuz were met with the immediate and the forceful response from the armed forces, enraging the security of violating vessels. And it also said that the continued presence of the U.S. fighter jets over the strait causes insecurity in this waterway and threatens regional security. And ladies and gentlemen, our second item is the military leaders from Syria and Lebanon for the first time has joined the other commanders from across the Middle East at the U.S. Defense Conference. And the regional security dialogue took place in Bahraini capital, the Manama, and was led by the U.S. Central Command, which coordinates military operations and cooperation across the Middle East parts of Asia. The other participants from the region included Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, and the UAE and Yemen. The meeting also took place as negotiations continue between Washington and Tehran for a peace agreement after the two sides last month signed a deal to end their conflict. A key aspect for the talks has been the full reopening of the international shipping of the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran blocked when the war began 4 months ago. The Central Command said also that the military chiefs at the meeting discussed the region's security situation and the opportunities for enhancing defense collaboration across the region. And so Israel has reiterated that its troops would remain in the so-called security zones established in Lebanon, Syria, and Gaza until further notice. Israeli officials, including the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, have repeatedly ruled out withdrawing troops from southern Lebanon, where Israeli forces continue to clash with Hezbollah fighters. They maintain that any troop withdrawal would happen only after Hezbollah has been disarmed across Lebanon. Hezbollah drew Lebanon into the Middle East war in the early March with the rocket aimed at Israel to avenge the killing of Iran's supreme leader in the US-Israeli strikes. Israel and Lebanon signed a US-sponsored framework agreement on Friday to pave the way for the peace between the two countries and disarm Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah. And to the General Secretariat of the Organization of the Islamic Cooperation, welcomed and expressed support for a recent report issued by the UN Independent International Commission of Inquiry on Israel, deliberate targeting of the Palestinian children in the occupied Palestinian territory since the 7th of October 2023. The OIC Secretariat said that the report exposes the scale of the war crimes against the humanity and genocide allegedly committed by the Israelis systematically, deliberately against Palestinian children, including killing, injury, arrest, torture, and various forms of the violence, as well as the deprivation of the food and medicines and disruption of health and education services. And it also called on the international community and the United Nations to take necessary legal and political measures to implement the report's recommendations, including ensuring to end the ongoing violations and holding those responsible accountable under international criminal law and providing international protection for Palestinian children. And to the 226th humanitarian aid convoy entered the Gaza Strip through the Rafah border crossing as part of Egypt's continuous efforts to alleviate the humanitarian crisis in the Strip. The Egyptian Red Crescent said that Zaid al-Izza from Egypt to Gaza aid convoy carries thousands of tons of humanitarian and relief aid, including medicines, tents, clothes, food, baskets, and oil products necessary for operating vital sectors. And to the next indirect U.S.-Iran talks will come after the late Iranian Supreme Leader's funeral as diplomacy inches ahead on ending the Middle East war. Following the fourth indirect discussions in Doha, U.S. President Donald Trump as well as mediators Qatar and Pakistan offered signs that diplomacy was holding despite the exchanges of this week. Details in the coming report.
The next indirect U.S.-Iran talks will come after the late Iranian Supreme Leader's funeral, mediators said Thursday, as diplomacy inches ahead on ending the Middle East war. Following the those indirect discussions in Doha on Wednesday, U.S. President Donald Trump as well as mediators Qatar and Pakistan offered signs that diplomacy was holding despite exchanges of fire this week. An interim deal was agreed to reopen the vital Strait of Hormuz and end hostilities, but major questions still need to be tackled in talks, including Iran's nuclear program. Pakistan said Thursday that Qatari and Pakistani mediators concluded separate meetings with the U.S. and Iranian negotiators in Doha, with positive progress made. Islamabad added that sides agreed to keep talking, with the next meeting to be set at the earliest possible time following the funeral processions of the former Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibali, who led Tehran's delegation, said Wednesday that talks had concluded with an agreement to establish a communications channel by Thursday to report and record alleged violations of the memorandum. Iran had insisted there would be no direct negotiations with the United States in Doha, and Trump told reporters before boarding Air Force One, as far as things are going, the denuclearization of Iran is moving along well. Tehran rejected Trump's earlier suggestion that the talks would be direct, with Foreign Ministry spokesman saying Iran had no plans for negotiations with the American side at any level over the coming days.
Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and you're still on the Inside the Middle East, and to shed more light on the progress which was reached during the US-Iran indirect negotiations in Doha. We are most delighted to be joined over the phone by Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the political analyst. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ramzy.
Good afternoon, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ramzy, can you tell me what might make the U.S. seek to strengthen the military cooperation in the Middle East countries?
Well, it's working. The U.S. is working with all of the Gulf countries in an attempt to restructure the presence, if you like, but also, and they're talking about increasing it, which is something that is really a very big problem for the Iranians, who are also in turn trying to talk to all of their neighbors in order to decrease the American presence in the region. So this is one issue that is a major part of the conflict.
Yes.
The Iranians say that for as long as there are American bases in neighboring countries, then these neighboring countries may be attacked, not on the pretext of their own presence, but on the pretext of the presence of the American military. So this is an issue, and basically they're trying to do all of this in the back channels, Sahar, in order for it not to be a major obstacle in all of the talks that are going on right now.
Yes, Mr. Also, can you tell me what are the issues remained unsolved after the talks has been held?
Well, they reached an agreement in Switzerland. To the Iranians, they opened up the Hormuz and all of the traffic continued. Yet, the $6 billion in frozen assets were not released. The Iranians didn't get access to their money that is frozen. And the Iranians have a very big problem with the fact that the Americans reneged on the agreement in regards to Lebanon.
Yes.
Under the Iranian-American agreement, the Israelis had to cease fire and pull out of the south of Lebanon to the positions that were before Israel occupied what they described as the yellow zone in the south of Lebanon and other areas.
Yes.
And but the Americans instead pushed ahead with another track in which the Israelis and Lebanese were talking directly in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And then the Lebanese and the Israelis reached a memorandum of understanding that was fascinating. Basically, it said that Israel can continue its presence inside of Lebanon. Israel has the right to protect itself. In other words, Israel has the right to attack anywhere, anytime, in any manner, if it feels that there is some kind of a security issue. But also, it does not schedule an Israeli pullout. After that track, the memorandum of understanding that they reached, the Israelis came out and said, we're not leaving Lebanon until Hezbollah is disarmed, which is almost an impossible task. And therefore, to the Iranians, this is the Americans reneging again on the agreements. However, the talks that are going on in Qatar, or that have been conducted in Qatar, apparently have achieved a certain amount of progress. One of the issues is the issue of the Iranians using the frozen money in order to buy foodstuffs that the Iranian people badly need right now.
Yes.
So this is an issue. There is no talk in regards to Lebanon, which is the other major obstacle. But we have a very big trust problem, Sahar. from both sides. But the Iranians, as far as they are concerned, you could reach an agreement with America and America will renege on it.
Yes.
Or America would translate the agreement in a manner that is totally upbeat as far as the Iranians are concerned. And this is a very big problem. So we are hearing the Iranian military threaten, and we are hearing the Americans threaten going back to war.
Yes.
Both of them are talking about going back to war, if and when and what and whatever. And J.D. Vance made a statement, Sahar, yesterday that also created a very big problem when he was starting to talk about war, but it seems that that was taken a bit out of context. He's pretty much in line with what President Donald Trump is saying all the time. If Iran doesn't do this, if Iran doesn't do that, we're going back to war. So until there is a permanent agreement, which is something that's supposed to be done within the next 2 months,
well, sir, let me ask you something. How might the recent U.S.-Iran peace agreement, as you said, can change the security landscape in the Middle East region?
In a very big way. If there is a permanent agreement and there is no more military hostility, then everything goes back and functions in a normal way and in a manner that is beneficial to the world economy. There is a very big problem right now. I mean, a part of the trust issue is the Iranians are saying the Americans, all they wanted to do is to open Hormuz in order to make sure that there is oil reaching Europe, etc. Okay, but the Iranians are saying the Americans did that in order to go back to war. If there is a sense of going back to war, then the whole economy of the world is going to continue to be in a very fragile position. We saw what happened to the price of oil and other materials, ammonia, etc., that is coming out of Hormuz. The price shot up dramatically. This affected the economies all over the world. The Europeans are screaming and crying over it, and they want an end to it. So the minute that we do reach a permanent, I don't want to say cease, no, permanent peace agreement, then even the Iranian economy becomes part and parcel of the opportunities in the region, because Iran was hit very badly, and there is a huge amount of damage in Iran, and many Arab countries are looking at Iran today in terms of rebuilding it, business opportunities that are related to this issue. So at the end of the day, that would be a major step forward, and it will resolve many problems.
Well, Mr. Ramzy Khoury, the journalist, thank you so much for joining us in the Middle East. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll go to see the details in the coming report, and thank you for watching.
Baghdad is the capital of the Republic of Iraq and is located on the Tigris River. It is the largest city in Iraq, the second largest city in the Arab world after Cairo, and the second largest city in Western Asia after Tehran, the capital of Iran. Baghdad is the important hub for road, air, and rail transportation. It serves as Iraq's economic, administrative, commercial, and educational center and is the seat of the national government. For centuries, Baghdad was one of the world's most important centers of learning and a gathering place for scholars and students from diverse fields of knowledge. The historic city of Baghdad has been known by several names, including the Round City, Al-Zawra, and Dar es-Salaam. The Tigris River flows through the city, dividing it into two parts, Kark, the western side, and Rusafa, the eastern side. Baghdad is rich in its historical and cultural landmarks, most notably the Al-Mustansiriyya School, which was one of the most important universities of the Islamic world during the Abbasid era, ancient Islamic mosques, historical palaces, and the Iraq National Museum, which houses some of the most important Arab and Bedouin antiquities. The city is also home to several significant religious shrines. There are other major landmarks like the Abbasid Palace, one of Baghdad's most significant surviving buildings from the second Abbasid period, located near Bab al-Mudahim along the river. Al-Marjaniya School, today known as the Marjan Mosque, is located in the Shortja district on Al-Rashid Street. The walls and gates of Baghdad, among the city's notable historical features, reflecting Baghdad's rich architectural heritage. Aqar Kuf, an important archaeological site and one of the cities built according to Sumerian Babylonian architectural concepts. Al-Madain, one of the most important historic cities, which ruins stand on the eastern bank south of the central Baghdad, approximately 30 kilometers away.